You are listening to ReachCast, your weekly stop for the latest and greatest in the Planetside 2 universe.
Welcome, everybody. It is January 21st, and you are listening to episode 17 of the ReachCast Show, your weekly stop for latest and greatest in Planetside 2 and its community. I'm your host, Torkz. With me tonight are the two fabulous co-hosts, Noxx and Deringer.
Why, hello there.
Good evening, everyone.
As always, the podcast is brought to you by the Imperial Reach outfit at imperialreach.com. You can hit them up. They are a TR outfit on the Waterson server. Yeah, I think there's still a couple platoons open, so feel free to jump in. New recruits are always welcome. Full show for you guys tonight. New patch coverage for the week. A couple bugs. And the triumphant return of the ReachCast Research Labs segment. And also, what's that? Noxx?
I was going to say, is it really triumphant?
It's triumphant. It is. Like, there should be horns. The couple good ReachCast University.
It's like the Vanu finally taking the crown triumphantly.
I mean, we're talking about triumphant versus real. Like one never happens. So anyways, back to good ReachCast University articles for the segment, and then we have a brand new user requested segment, ReachCast Stories from the Battlefield, where Noxx this evening will be reading us a tale of woe and glory. And
he's like a modern day Hemingway in this thing. Just get ready.
War and Peace.
No.
So without
modern day Hemingway.
Without further ado, patch notes before Noxx gets to say no.
I'm going to get these mosquitoes in the air and rain down some hellfires on those fools. Oh no! What the fuck? I should have listened to the ReachCast patch notes.
All right, everybody, diving in. Last Thursday, we had a patch on the 17th with a lot of more additional air changes. I know last week we said it was the anti-air patch. This, I guess, would be the anti-liberator patch or anti-air patch
air,
version 2.0.
Yeah, I'd say 2.0 because it hits all air.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple other little tidbits in the general section before we get into the huge nerf to the Liberator. But in general, enemy spotting is now only shared with allies within 150 meters, which really shrinks it down. The spot duration was also lowered to 10 seconds, which is extremely short. At long distances, you have to be closer to the center of the target to successfully spot. 3 big changes to how spotting works within the game. There was also a fix to jump jets. As we know in the past, they were only functioning intermittently, and they claim to have fixed this ultimately now. We will see.
You know, I've played a fair amount since the patch, and I haven't seen it since. So maybe we're done.
When they do the next patch, it'll break it again, so let's have faith.
Nice.
And the final general section was that maxes will now render at a longer distance for players in aircraft. And I know that was a big complaint for Liberator pilots not being able to see the maxes that they were raining death down on.
They will either render or they will not render at all.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that later.
We'll get into that one, yeah.
Well, since we said Liberator.
Indeed, the Liberator has some changes. The C-150 Dalton, everyone's favorite, had firing adjustments made to the Dalton. Changes are mainly noticeable when attempting to fire on infantry or other small targets at a distance. Dalton projectiles now have more gravity when fired, which makes them more accurate when you're above, but causes them to be, you got to compensate when you're horizontal. So those Daltons that are, where the Liberator would just like point up to the sky straight up and be firing into the buildings. Yeah, that's going to be a bit trickier now. So, or hitting other aircraft with it. So that's a pretty good change if you ask me. And then the outer damage blast radius was shrunk down from 12 to 10 meters. And that's where minimum damage occurs. The Zephyr also changed. I guess the proper name is the L105 Zephyr. Firing adjustments were made to that. Same sort of thing. Noticeable for infantry and other targets that are far away. Same sort of deal with the gravity as the Dalton. So, I don't know. Yeah. And then the inner damage blast radius, where the maximum damage occurs, has been reduced from 4 to 1.5 meters, which is pretty significant.
It's a huge reduction.
You can tell, too, when you're firing it. It's not just like spray on the ground and hope that, guaranteed kills anymore. It's you need to hit your target, which I like personally. The along with that, there's a big chunk of change with the effectiveness of your down guns, as well as all IR and thermal optics on aircraft. So with this, what we'll call anti-air patch 2.0, the IR and thermal optics have been basically nerfed across the board for all aircraft, Liberator, Mozzie, Reaver, Scythe. Their viewing ranges have been decreased. Now, I tried to get a solid number on this week while I was gunning and piloting a Lib and a Mozzie, and I could not get a solid number on it. I know it's less. I want to say we were effective at about 200 meters, where we used to be able to be effective at 250 to 300, but I did not record that number pre-patch, so I can't give you guys a solid number. But their effective ranges for IR have been reduced. So
they've been reduced a lot, in my opinion. I have the IR on my Scythe with both my main cannon and the rocket pods as well, and it didn't click that change had happened in the patch. And then when I was flying it this weekend and saw what a huge difference it was in the distance, I was like, oh man. I couldn't see anybody on the ground anymore from far away. Well, normally I'd hover pretty far away and I'd just lob my rockets in and hit the ground troops that are on the crown, and I couldn't do that anymore. When I got close to do that, I was immediately locked on and shot down repeatedly by burster maxes.
It's the crown. Yeah. Aren't there several places you can shoot and pretty much be guaranteed to hit them anyways?
Oh, yeah. But I like to zoom in with the infrared and see where everybody was, so I could hit that big group of people rather than just kill one or spray them out there and hope to get one person now.
I'm so sorry you couldn't roll your mag rider up on the hill and just shoot in through the door all day long. Apologize.
Well, I can't have everything in life.
All right, on a community briefing.
Attention, soldiers! Get your butts in here for this week's community briefing.
Well, diving into the community briefing, we're going to start off with something that's been reported hugely today and in the past few days. Not so much the past few days, but it's kind of exploded today, where there's a specific hack in the game where people are spawning in the spawn tubes at the warp gates, and then they're being teleported out to the middle of nowhere or flung far out into the world and immediately dying. What the issue is that hackers have somehow found a way to either remove the phalanx turrets from some bases and relocate them to the spawn tube in the warp gate, or other people say that they've dug into some of the coding for the upcoming Enforcer, which is the NC buggy, and that they're placing that cannon in the spawn tubes. And if you spawn in one of those spawn tubes and step out, you pretty much crash and fall through the world. You don't crash. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. You just basically fall through the world, and it still says you're in the warp gate, but when you look on the map, you're somewhere completely different out on the map. And it's kind of annoying, more than anything. I even took video of it today and made a video and posted it on the forums showing how it's happening to me. And this was just by creating just a random character on the Matherson server and testing it because so many people were complaining about it. Have you guys run into this one yet?
I didn't play today.
I haven't seen.
Oh wait, that's not true. I did. I played some NC and I never saw it.
I haven't seen it yet. I've seen videos of it on YouTube, but I haven't seen. It hasn't personally happened to me.
After the call tonight, just make a random throwaway character on Matherson on TR. Go to Indar and try stepping out of the warp gate and see what happens.
All right.
The good news about this is that the devs are aware of it and they're looking into it, and hopefully they're going to be correcting it sooner rather than later. So I'd still continue to report it, though, if you're coming across it, so that they can pinpoint when it's happening and who's doing it. Maybe they can throw down the ban hammer a little bit more and kick some people out of the game.
On F&O, they showed the data thing off, which we'll talk about, but they're going to know who did it. I'm pretty certain who's been doing it. They'll know.
Regardless, report is your friend. All right, and our next point for community briefing is one of the users on the forums created a new graphical user interface tool that allows you to browse and extract the Planetside 2 asset files. And it's been confirmed that this is not a breach of the terms of service or anything like that. It's just a tool. It's just a piece of software that's going into the files themselves and extracting them. It's not making any changes to the files, and most people now are just using it to extract images, full 3D models of things like the galaxy. Someone else pulled out a 3D model of a Flash, and then he photoshopped a guy from Team Fortress 2 onto the Flash. It was kind of amusing. We're going to include the link to this in our show notes if anybody's interested in diving into this and pulling out some of these models. It's not just vehicles. Some people were pulling out pieces of the terrain, like the trees and stuff like that. Just seems like a cool little tool for people who are interested in things like that.
It looks like he posted the source code too, so you're not downloading a virus. If you know code, you can confirm that.
I think it's a pretty cool little tool for somebody that's from the community to make. Hats off to him. The next thing we saw a lot on the forums this week, or at least I did, was a lot of complaints and a lot of questions on how bunny hopping should be handled in the game. And for those that don't know what the term means, if you haven't seen it in game, what it means is basically somebody will consistently jump up and down while they're engaged in combat. So if you get one-on-one or even whatever, it's not necessarily one-on-one, but you get in close combat with somebody and they consistently jump to basically avoid your shots and to change the hitbox, basically, for what you're hitting at and the damage for it. It's not just in Planetside 2. This is common throughout a lot of FPSs.
I was going to say, is it confirmed that it's changing the hitbox? Because I know that's pretty much the consensus about Battlefield 3. But every game is different. I know it makes it harder to hit a person in general.
Without I want to say it does, but you know what? That's its opinion, and I'll say it as it is opinion. Now we don't have confirmation from the developers yet, so it's not. Either way, it's the act of jumping consistently during combat to avoid damage. I mean, is that fair enough to say, Noxx? I mean,
no, yeah, I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to. I don't really so much like it either. Honestly, I think it's, and the reason, and this is my argument for why I don't like it. I don't really care if it's. I've learned to kind of start doing it lately. if I'm using certain classes, I don't use my light assault, but I'm using a heavy assault or something like that, or my engineer or some other class. So I getting into the habit of using it more because I feel like I'm almost needing to. I'm seeing it a lot more. It's a lot more prevalent, I should say, to stay competitive. But my argument there is that it's not realistic whatsoever. I mean, you're not.
The game is in the future.
Yeah, so you're going to see somebody in the future. Yeah, like. But you're
it's going to be in the future. It's going to be an acceptable tactic.
Yeah, to jump up
No,
and down.
I totally know what you're saying. I was just too easy to give you trouble there.
Yeah, I mean,
because I feel that if you are going to implement things like bullet travel time, bullet drop, that's an element of realism that really, especially when I put a lot of hours into an infiltrator, you just can't hit the person when they're doing that. And I just don't like how you're going to give me as an infiltrator those things to have to deal with, but then not limit the other person's ability to dodge me.
Yeah, I just don't like it generally. I just think it's the question. I think more is that whether you like it or not. That I've seen in the threads is how is it's supposed to be handled. So right now, the developers put in a major slowdown. So if you jump a lot, within a certain amount, you jump X amount of times in a certain amount of time, your travel speed for your sprint slows down significantly.
Yeah, but all you have to do is let go and re-tap it, and you'll be back full speed sprinting.
I know, and so it's kind of my question is, and I don't know if we really have answers for this. I don't know personally, but how to handle this, and I don't. Jump only a certain amount of time. I've seen some inventive ways people have talked about in the threads, like maybe have it like an energy bar. You can only jump a certain amount of times, before you run out and you have to let it recharge or something like that. What's that?
Stamina?
Yeah, like a stamina bar.
Stamina in Planetside 1?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I know. Oh, maybe I'm crazy.
I think there was.
A lot of games have done it, though.
But that's one way to approach it. And
I think the way to approach it is the Planetside. They have everybody's address. Just go to their house and start executing these people. They're playing on the game. It's just publicly take them out and shoot them in the head.
So I take it you don't like it either, Mark?
I love bunny hopping. I mean, you kidding me?
Really
bunny hopping it's terrible. It's stupid. I've lost so many gun battles from people bunny hopping all around the place.
It's so unrealistic.
It screws your whole cone of fire. And I've been playing a lot of NC this weekend. I know the Vanu guy playing NC. How dare he?
Mm-hmm.
But I was playing it just to test things out and see how they work because a lot of people complain. Plus, we were interviewing Clegg, so I wanted to play a little NC, so I had the proper frame of reference when I was talking to him. But because the NC weapons have such huge kick to them, and they're all over the map when you fire them, the recoil is insane. When somebody bunny hops against you and you're playing NC, a lot of times it's hard as heck to hit them because of all that recoil.
Yeah. Well, so right now
Vanu, it's not an issue.
I'm kind of using it just to stay. I'm using it almost under. I don't know. I'm using it because I feel like it's necessary at this point, but I don't really know if I don't like using it yet, though. Honestly, I really wish I didn't have to, but I don't like losing either. So it feels almost necessary, and I don't like anything completely unrealistic feeling necessary in this game, or any FPS for that matter. But on to the next one, where we've labored enough on this. All
right, our last community briefing topic is one that I came across earlier this week. Basically, friendly fire and griefing.
Forum topic.
What was that?
Last forum topic.
Community briefing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. The last forum topic in community briefing. Something that I came across earlier this week. People complaining that some less than savory groups are creating level 1 characters for the faction that they're attacking. They spawn on the area that they're attacking and immediately start team killing them. Then they just delete the new level 1 character that they created. And apparently it's becoming more and more of an issue on some servers. I know someone specifically said that they were attacking a base. They were defending a base. and NC was attacking them, and then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of level 1 Vanu, like at least 12 people, all hot dropped or spawned in the area where they were defending, all as heavy assault, and just started rocketing everybody around them. They took out their own Sunderer, they took out all the medics, and then the people just disappeared. And then the next thing they knew, the NC had overrun their position and taken over the point. So the person who made this post suggested that perhaps the devs look into removing friendly fire for anyone that's under BR5 or BR10, but still include the friendly fire penalty and weapon lock. So that basically if you create a level 1 character, you drop it in, and you start shooting your own people to give the other team an advantage, that no damage will be done because you're under a specific battle rank. I don't know what you guys thought of it. I thought it was a decent idea. Maybe BR5 is too high, or maybe BR10 is definitely too high, but maybe BR5 is that sweet spot. But I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this as well.
I'd say BR10's not too high.
Yeah, but it does take a while to make a BR10 character.
It's a fairly clever idea to implement it in such a way. Is it such a plague that they'd have to spend time doing that?
I don't know that it's a plague, but if it's something that more people start to do, it could become a plague. Because how easy is it
really
to...
irritating. That could become super... I mean, if that happened to me...
Oh, I'm not going to disagree with that, yeah. Totally.
How easy is it to create a throwaway account and make a character on it, you know?
Well, at the same time, those character creations are still marked in the database. You can't tell me that they can't report the area, at least put in a report and say, this area, this time, these people. Or, you don't have to... You obviously don't have names because they deleted them. But they can still track back in their creation logs and say, okay, these 12 people created it this time. Ban them. Boom.
If anything, they could just look at the DB transaction logs.
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell me they can't go back and say, oh, it just so happens 12 people created right at this exact time, dropped at this exact place. I mean, it can't be that hard to track back.
So the reason I ask if it's such a plague is it takes a lot. Like, that's something that, fixing that would be taking time out of making the game better, basically. True. So, I don't know. If it becomes a plague, then yeah, sure.
My personal opinion on that is that you hire between all the hacking, all the additional hacking going on lately, and this kind of BS. Just hire a couple additional GMs, for the next year or so,
and let them drive out to their house and start executing them in the streets.
Hire a couple additional GMs and let them track these guys down. Right there, 12 people banned. Boom. And you can tell them right out, you know what they did. Anybody doing this, they know what they did. And they deserve to be banned. I have no problem. I mean, that's...
Oh, I fully agree with that sort of thing. The punishment in it, but my only thing is I want the game to get better, too.
Yeah, well, think of it this way, though. The other side of the coin there is it easier just to remove friendly fire for anybody under BR5 than it is to put some additional people on staff to track this particular thing down?
Yes and no. There's a third side.
You have no idea what their code's doing.
There's a third side to every coin.
Yeah. So my point to that is, if you have a group of people that are willing to do something like this, they'll be willing to exploit anything they come across, and they're just, get rid of them. There's going to be a group of people that are always going to be breaking just because they feel like it's funny. It's just, it's the same group of people.
like the falling to the world hack.
Yeah. I mean, there's a group of people that do stuff like this for shits and grins, and that's fine. And so be it. I mean, I just think that banning them is a short-term solution, but may get the point across. I don't know. So, well, we've been really slamming these articles. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, moving on to the rest of the community briefing. We got some command center, the thing that Trammell and Higby do, or PST Ray on Twitter. Command Center is now going to be done live rather than the recorded show, and I believe they will be doing that on the Twitch TV / Planetside 2 channel.
So
And
every F-bomb they drop is live.
Oh, yeah. They swear like nobody's business, and
I was
thoroughly
shocked.
enjoyed it.
I
thought
shocked.
it was funny. Yeah. And that's now live. Pretty cool. They're doing a lot of really cool things. They showed off, basically, they're doing this bit where every week they're going to show the development of something in the game and how it progresses. And so this last week they showed off a revolver pistol, which is just going to be like a beast mode pistol from what I understand.
And how cool was it to actually watch the artist draw it on his screen?
Yeah.
As they videotaped.
Yeah. A lot, like really cool stuff like that. And so Command Center this is something that if you want to see what they're going to be doing in the future of this game, it's another spot to look. So then it's pretty important.
So basically what Noxx is saying is you have to listen to our show, but if you're looking for something else, you can look for Command Center.
We'll have it all. We'll have it all in one show, rather than having to watch Command Center and F&O and read the forums. We got it all here for you. They also revealed the new Empire leader for the Vanu. Level Cap. His Twitter is @LevelCapGaming. Goodbye and good riddance to Tobuscus.
You know, the only question I have about that, and I'm very happy that Level Cap has taken over, because first thing he said, he's BR44.
Yeah,
that's enough for me.
I was like, all right, he plays, we're good.
But my next question is, I haven't had a chance to check, is has my arm patch changed from the Tobuscus to the Level Cap symbol? I keep forgetting to look. Or is it going to be rendered differently? Because I signed up for the Tobuscus patch, the arm patch.
Maybe you can get one for Level Cap, too.
I'm going to have to log into the game and see what it looks like.
You'll be
that's the one thing I'm wondering.
With the Tobuscus one.
I have been wearing my Tobuscus patch, so.
Gross.
Gross. Nice. All right, F&O.
So F&O, yeah. Moving on to the next bit. We have F&O. Like I said, they're also showing new things. So this last week, they showed the new spawn rooms, which look phenomenal. What do you guys think?
More than phenomenal. There's so many open windows to shoot out of, and so many new hallways are added on to the biolab spawn rooms. Oh, it's going to be so much better to be a defender.
You're not going to... Like Jimmy pointed out that, they had to really work hard to make it so that you can't defend the base from the spawn room. And then we talked to Clegg, which will be out later this week, and he talks about it a bit too. And I really like it because basically anyone who sits in there, surely there's going to be enough dumb people that want to peek into the spawn room thinking they might be able to kill someone, and then you can kill them. But hopefully after a little bit, people just start not spending their time near the spawn room, forcing people to evacuate and defend the bases. But then it also gives you the cover to evacuate, so I really like it. And then they also showed SMGs for the NC and the TR. They did not show the Vanu one. I think they said the art wasn't done for it.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
I just looked. I still have my Tobuscus patch. Ugh. I'm going to have to write to somebody about that.
Please give me level caps. But the SMGs, a lot of new cool animations with them. That's kind of showing that they're progressing with the style that these guns are doing.
Is it just me, or have they never shown bullets flying out like they did on the TR1? I was so enamored by that. I kept watching. I'm like, oh my god, those bullets look awesome. The shell casings, actually.
The shell casings. The only thing that I kind of laughed about for those is those were like really large caliber shell casings, not SMG shell casings. Like Jimmy talked about SMGs being something like a 9mm.
22.
Those were way bigger than 9mm.
Yeah, I know. I've shot a 22. It's not that big.
Hey, Deringer.
Yes.
Is Level Cap's logo Happy Wheels for your arm patch?
What?
I just gave him the silent treatment on that one.
All right, go on. I'm sorry. I thought you had Happy Wheels on your shoulder. Do you?
Anyways. SMGs, yeah, very cool.
So more cover on AirPads?
Yeah. Yeah, I lost track. All right, more cover on AirPads. These are the Biolab AirPads. Clegg specifically talked about. He was sitting in the Twitch. Guys, show them the AirPads and the vehicle pads. Show them the AirPad like 4 times before they finally saw it. But the AirPads, they have a lot more cover on them on the Biolab. Totally new design for the launch pads. Actually, if you played on Onatha Biolab in Indar, I think that's the Biolab. The one that's the NC one, if you broke the map up appropriately. At one point, a month ago, there were these untextured, just modeled ramps, exactly like those. So if you know what I'm talking about. Except it looks like there's detail on them and look pretty cool. And then there's all those pipes and things you hide behind got moved. And it should be pretty interesting fighting on the new pads.
I like it, but tell me it doesn't look like somebody just dropped a ton of trash on the AirPads.
Well, that's what they look like now.
Well, they're not as bad. I mean,
dropping a ton of trash.
It looks like the galaxies fly over and just empty the hatch.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think it's going to be good because it looks like a lot of that debris, a lot of the things to hide behind were pushed out far enough that if the attackers push out there, they're subject to getting hit by air. But then if they stay falling back, then the people attacking can then use it to clear the area, can then use it very effectively. I think it looks like it's in a pretty good location.
Basically, my only suggestion is if you don't have the anti-infantry, the claymores yet, start getting them. They'll be very useful on those vehicle pads.
If you're NC and Vanu. If you're TR, they're still useless. I hate claymores. Then we also have raised vehicle pads. They showed us this in the tech plant, or was it the amp station?
I think it was the amp station.
Yep, you're right, amp station. And they basically just lifted the vehicle pads up off the ground, so you'd have to jump to get onto it. And this was mainly just so you're not accidentally walking by it. And sometimes I feel like you'd just be touching it barely, and that would kill you if a tank spawns. Yeah. So that's pretty nice.
So I had one question regarding this, and I don't recall they going over this, but I'm wondering if on the sub bases they're also going to raise the vehicle pads, and if so, is this going to make it almost impossible for people to get asunder underneath those bases now?
Well, I don't think they're going to do it on those because a lot of those, that's almost the only way through. Like the road goes through that building. Unless they redesigned a lot of those maps for that particular reason as well.
Well, I think enough people die in the middle of those running across the vehicle pads that it's warranted to put them there as well. But I understand what you're saying. If that's the only way through, they couldn't do it.
I mean, yeah, I know for some of them it's the only way through. Unless they just created a bridge between both of them too so that you could still drive through it.
Possibly.
So, there's that. Then tunnels couldn't be shown. They said they were going to try and show us the tunnels, but they couldn't get to it. It was something about them not being fully done, I think. Not in a state that they were ready to show us. So they said this Friday they should be on, though, which I would kind of hope, because this Friday is only a few days before the 130 patch.
I'm looking forward to seeing those tunnels big time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Me too.
I hope. I'm hoping. I'm really excited. And I hope that it's not this one tunnel to the base. And you're like, oh, thanks. I guess, it's nice to get to the tech plant without dying instantly, but I was wanting tunnel battles. So I really hope.
It's one long, thin tunnel the length of a football field. That's it.
No, it's been.
You can't render the other end of it. It's so far.
It's been something a lot of people have been asking for. So I would imagine they put some pretty good effort into this. I would imagine, and I'd hope. Then there was something else I mentioned about F&O, and I was going to write it down, and I didn't want you to hear me typing.
It's probably something about Happy Wheels, right, Torkz?
Oh, you're killing me here. Killing me.
You and the Happy Wheels. Maybe I'll think of it. But last thing, don't forget about the Planetside 2 wiki on Wikia. Gosh, I'll put the link in the thing. I can't tell it to you right now because I forgot to put it in the notes. But I played
planetside.wikia.com.
Yeah, something like that. I played around with the loadout for creating loadouts. It's a little tricky. It wasn't very clear like which particular slot was what, and you had to type in the item exactly. I got the TMG 50 to work. It's just TMG-50, but I couldn't get some other things to work, so it would just like show text, but if you type it in right, it will show a picture of the loadout picture. So eventually, I hope that could be something that could be utilized. But don't forget about the wiki. We have to use it, not we as in ReachCast, but everyone in the community has to use it for it to be useful. So I think that's all the community briefing we have, because my brain is totally blanking on the last thing.
You're going to remember it during the good and the bad, so.
Maybe.
On to bugs.
Is this going to be a stand-up fight, sir, or another bug hunt?
It's a bug hunt. What exactly are we dealing with here?
ReachCast report.
Our first one. That was our first bumper, right?
I think that, yeah, it was.
I think
it was
so.
The first bumper we ever developed. That's correct. I'm pretty sure about that.
Whose voice is that? It's so good.
That is that's Deringer's voice for anybody that doesn't know that's in that. So
that's how I talk in real life outside of the podcast.
Sounds like
going through a filter on my microphone to sound like this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do actually have a couple bugs this week that we wanted to just briefly go over. The first being invisible maxes, and the second being flash grenades radius reduction. Both of these are unintended, and they are working on them to fix them currently, so no need to report the issues with both of them. And the issue with invisible maxes is that you can see their weapons, but you can't see their bodies, which is certainly kind of disconcerting when you come around a corner and there's just two scatter cannons facing you.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I know you've had some issues with the flash grenades as well, Torkz. Am I right?
Yeah, I like using the flash a lot because I do a lot of scouting and a lot of the initial engagement for our group. And I know it's not intended, and Higby came on and said it wasn't on Twitter, and the radius for which the flash grenade blinds has been reduced dramatically. I want to say it's like 2 meters now. Something crazy.
Oh gosh.
Something crazy. Like you throw it in there and you just it just doesn't work as intended. And he said they're working on switching that back. So
basically,
the reason we brought these bugs in is, one, if you're using flash grenades currently, I would strongly suggest you switch off of them until this is fixed, because they will not serve you really any good. And the invisible maxes are, well, if you're using
more
IR,
than we just want you to know it's not a hack.
Yeah, no one's hacking to make their max invisible to your aircraft or to you. Just expect the rendering for some of the maxes to be messed up at the moment, and that will also be fixed soon, is what we were being told. So that's our bug report. If you have anything additional that you find, send it in to us, and we'll try to verify it. I was able to verify both of these things firsthand. So like I said earlier, at the beginning of the show, the triumphant, with the horns and all, return of ReachCast Research Labs.
I thought I would combine a little of this with a little bit of this. Yes. I'm going to create the ultimate force.
Please equip your personal shield unit before entering the ReachCast Research Labs.
You know, I'm glad we didn't make Steve change it to a little bit of this and a little bit of that for the one time we've used it before this.
For those of you that haven't noticed in the game, there is a checkmark box below most of your consumables, your grenades, your claymores, your C4, whatever the case may be. There's a little checkmark box called auto reload. That checkmark box had me intrigued on how it really was intended to work. I've seen it there for a little bit. There's some speculation on Reddit. So I figured I would play around with it, and that's what I'm bringing to you guys today. In its current iteration, the auto reload checkmark box does this. If you consume all of your consumables, say you have 40 frag grenades, use that as an example, and you use all of them, and you're 0-0, and you respawn or you reload the game, one will be bought for you if you have the resources available. That is how it works in its current iteration. Not when you use them, not when you... The trigger for it is whether you reload or you respawn, and it will spawn one for you. Now, we're trying to get confirmation on what its intended use is, if that's its intended, last final iteration. And we're trying to get an interview with one of the UI developers coming for you guys soon, and we will attempt to ask this question whether that is intended or not. But that is a short but hopefully useful to you guys, Research Labs. If you weren't aware of the checkmark box before now, well, you are now, and hopefully it will be more use to you in the future.
Like me.
Yes.
I didn't know until, 5 minutes before we started recording?
Oh, I thought you meant you were going to be more useful in the future.
All right. ReachCast University.
Jimmy, what are you doing in there?
I'm playing Planetside 2, Mom.
Are you decent?
Yeah, Mom. What do you want?
You got a letter from the school.
Well, let me see it.
Open it up.
Jeez, I am, Mom.
Well, what's it say?
It says...
Congratulations. You've been accepted into the ReachCast University.
Cool.
My baby is growing up.
Did the letter have an audio file attached to it?
Yeah,
of course.
The letters you get in the mail have audio files attached to them. Like a little background.
It's like how you can. It's like how you can get your email to be read to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like that.
Same thing. Is that the first time you heard that new bumper, Noxx?
No. Did you guys use it last week?
Yeah, we used it last week, but you weren't here.
I listened to the episode.
Oh, okay. So.
Oh, I forgot.
Well, right off the bat, this is something that a lot of engineers that probably already know, but I figure I'd mention it for the rest of the listening audience. If you, so any engineer out there that currently uses claymores, you don't have the ammo pack as a one of your slots, usable slots. It's not 3 or 4 anymore. So you figure you don't have ammo pouches anymore, right? Wrong. If you go to your mana turret, and before deploying your mana turret, you hit B, you will be given the option to drop an ammo pack instead of your mana turret. And
It'll still look like the mana turret, right?
No. It'll render as a ammo pack on the ground.
No, I mean in your hands.
No, it'll look like I don't know how it looks from someone else's perspective. I know how it looks when you're deploying it.
In my hands, when I did it, it still looked like the little mana turret plate.
Oh, did it? Nice.
But it would drop ammo.
Okay. So, I don't know if this is intended. I think it is. I don't really know at this moment, but I can tell you it works. So, whether that's going to be changed in the future or not, I don't know. But currently, you go ahead and use your claymores, and if you want an ammo pack, all you need to do is go to your mana turret and hit B, and you will be able to deploy it.
Do you think this is new?
No, this has been around since when I almost first started playing the beta.
Because I've only heard about it recently, and everybody in games seems to be talking about it now. And I wondered if it had been dropped in the last patch, but nobody was aware of it.
No, it's been around.
I think it's been around for a while.
It's been around a long time in the beta and everything. I'm convinced it's a bug.
I was going to say, I feel like the worst engineer ever because I played engineer throughout the entire beta and I never knew you could do this.
I didn't know either until just the other day, to be honest, and that I guess that's bad, but I didn't know, and I was just kind of messing around. I was like, what is this? So, but for what it's worth, for those of you guys out there that don't know, there you go.
Yep, it's very cool. It works. All right, so now we're going on to my little tidbit about why playing other empires is useful. Because as we talk a lot about the other empires, and I think, Deringer, you play Vanu, and you've been playing NC lately. I've been playing a lot of NC lately, and there's more to this than just playing the other empire because you don't like yours. So this mostly applies to vehicles because infantry combat, you like the weapon or not, but it's not going to help you fight the enemy. Whereas if you play the other vehicles, you can then learn the things that work and don't work. And I would say between the Vanguard and the Prowler, you kind of learn the benefits of the shield and whatnot. But this mostly applies to the Mag Rider, even to me personally. But basically, how to utilize it is switch to Vanu if you don't like the Mag Rider, or switch to NC if you don't like the Vanguard or TR for Prowler, and play it. And think about when you die, think about how you died. Then try to fix it. And if you still die, even when you're trying to fix it, abuse it when you're playing against it. See someone doing that, or see them in that situation and take advantage of it. And if the more you play as these things, the more you'll see how you're dying and these sort of scenarios that are causing your death. And then you can see someone doing it. Like I've done it with the Mag Rider, and I have had a much easier time against the Mag Rider ever since playing a lot of putting in several hours into the Mag Rider. But then also, continuing on, if abusing it doesn't work for you, figure out what they're doing differently to prevent you from being able to kill them. And then keep iterating through these things, and eventually, I believe, you'll get better at fighting against the enemy. It not only is just like messing around, it will actually help you get better at the game, I believe.
Keep your enemies close. Or closer, I should say.
Yeah, right. You forgot the friends part there.
Yeah, I keep forgetting the first part of that.
It is an important tactic to try. That is one of the main reasons I switched to playing Vanu and then playing NC, because I wanted to learn some of the differences between their air units and some of the differences between their tanks. And I found that I have become much more proficient in nailing that Mag Rider when I'm in the Prowler, because you fire the first shot at them and they start to weave, and you already know which way you're firing your second shot at them, things like that.
The Vanguard and the Prowler, it didn't really help so much, but the Mag Rider definitely, it's just so different. And I don't fly, so I can't say about the ESFs, but...
Well, the Scythe and the Reaper, you might get some diehard pilots that might say way differently, but I fly a fair amount, and I don't know. There is some differences to them, flying them, but air-to-air combat, I don't know. It's not as drastic as what I've seen when I've played other factions' tanks, specifically the Mag Rider. But to go back to what you're saying, I think to get a holistic, fun perspective of this game and to really understand the different factions and kind of get into it, I think you really need to play all three at some point. And you don't have to play a ton of it, but play them and just get a feel of what the people playing against you feel like when they're playing their faction, because they are different and they're intended to be different. So, get to know them.
Even if you're even if you're fairly competent and you go, oh, well, they were doing this and abusing it, right? You will die eventually, and then you can go, how did that guy kill me? And, the Mag Rider's good, but it's not. I've had no trouble against it ever since putting a lot of hours into it.
Yeah.
Other than, just the standard, I'm fighting against a lot of enemies and there's a lot of enemies firing against me. But I think it helps. So that's why I wanted to talk about that. We can move along now.
All right. Well, we'll move on to my ReachCast University. Now, I've said it in the past, I spend a lot of days, a lot of hours sitting in the forum, sifting through all the different stuff out there. And I'm not the only one. My two co-hosts do a lot of that same work too. But I came across one this week that kind of had me scratching my head. I'd usually do a sort by the number of views and then see what the most recently commented on ones are, so I can kind of get an idea of what's on everybody's minds. And this wasn't one that there were a lot of recent comments on, but there were 7,000 views. And, I mean, that was like number 60 topic overall on the Planetside 2 forums, and kind of blew my mind. But it was something as simple as people don't know how to change continents. So here it is. Step 1. Walk up to the terminal in the back of the spawn, in the warp gate spawn room that has a circle, sphere, or globe above it. Step 2, press E. Step 3.
Well, what is step 3?
Well, we don't know what step 3 is, but we know step 4 is profit.
And that couldn't resist scripting something.
Prepare comedy on the
and
ReachCast
that's
show.
how you get to a different continent rather than forcing your squad leader to go there and then hot dropping on them.
This is correct. Yes.
Again, I was kind of shocked that so many people were looking for that information, that it's clear it's not something that Sony has pushed out to everybody so they know how to do it.
It's almost an over 9,000. So close.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be by next week.
Well, we have one last but not least piece of the ReachCast University. It was a listener submitted ReachCast University article, or
think of it as a guest lecturer.
Yes. So this comes from Kiefer, and he says he finds extremely effective to use the woodland camo on his light assault, find a place that is in heavy combat, jump up into the trees, hide up against a branch, switch off his weapon of choice to single shot, and basically lay waste to all of his opponents around him until he runs out of ammo. He says he's extremely surprised about how rare it is for enemies to actually look up in the trees, and he finds this extremely effective, and he feels bad about almost sharing it, but he feels like he should. And we appreciate that, Kiefer, and I'm sure the listeners also appreciate it. I've seen some variations of this from time to time. I've seen infiltrators crash Mozzies or Reavers or Scythes into trees and lay up in there and snipe people. I've seen engineers do it with ammo packs. I've seen... I totally agree with the fact that people do not look up in trees very often, and
I never do.
People don't look up, period.
Yeah, and this does work very well. I've done it I'm probably sure I haven't done it nearly as much as Kiefer here, but the couple times I have thought about it and actually done this, it seems to work pretty well. So I second his suggestion, and that is our last ReachCast University lecture piece. On to our new segment. Listener requested, Noxx driven.
Torkz
ReachCast.
approved.
I just noticed that
Torkz
the notes
approved.
say Noxx reads War and Peace.
Put that in for you, by the way. The ReachCast Stories from the Battlefield.
Next on the ReachCast show.
When the second wave was coming, we didn't know if we were gonna make it.
Tune in to learn about the untold stories that win battles and bring victory to wars.
We need reinforcements now!
Find out about the exciting turn of events.
This hole made you reach down deep find something special.
See things that you will not believe.
We put the Sunderer into overdrive and punch through the enemy lines.
Hear about heroic stories from each empire.
New conglomerate.
Terran Republic.
The new sovereignty.
Coming up next on ReachCast Stories from the Battlefield.
Is that bumper really long, or am I just this nervous about reading my stupid story?
It's pretty long.
It's
and
really awesome.
It's really awesome. I like that one a lot. I think we might have Steve work on it a little bit, but I dig that bumper. So on to War and Peace.
I've been dreading this the whole night.
You're really tanking yourself before you even start, man.
Oh, their words of encouragement were coming my way, and it wasn't helping.
Liquid encouragement.
I have to preface this, okay? I feel the need to preface this because I'm not a writer. I'm a software developer. Writing is not something I'm, would consider myself to be proficient with.
Start.
Just read your story.
If I start laughing throughout the middle of this, please forgive me too. All right. This is my story. God, I can't do it. All right. Darkness. As I regain vision, I see the all-too-familiar blue of the spawn tubes field. Despite having done this several thousand times, I will never get over the feeling of coming back to life. It takes several moments before I remember the last thing I heard. The trooper next to me, codenamed Swag YOLO 420 Dubstep, yelling, "Sniper!" My head throbs, and I know some infiltrator got the better of me. What a stupid code name. Before I can begin to think any further, the concussion of an explosion shakes me, nearly knocking me off my feet. I must have deployed somewhere hot. The heads-up display shows not AM station. The dirty Vanu sovereignty must really be handing it to us. Another explosion. As I exit the spawn tube, I realize what is going on around me. All of the yelling becomes audible and recognizable. Liberators. Great, just what I needed. Explosions seem to be hitting more often now as I stumble towards the equipment terminal. A max unit with bursters should do the trick. After I make my selection, I feel the nanites flow through me. The feeling is almost refreshing, causing my headache to vanish. I begin to gain full comprehension of our situation. There are a good amount of troops in the room, and if I had to guess, the Liberators are equipped with Zephyrs due to the number of explosions. I request 3 more men to equip Burster Max armor. Gathering all the men together, we wait patiently at the door closest to the tower. Counting the explosions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now! I yell. Even though I'm wearing max armor, I feel the blast of the frigid air upon passing through the spawn room force field. I still don't understand what is on this godforsaken frozen wasteland. And as I suspected, several Vanu soldiers are waiting as we enter the tower stairwell. We gladly slaughter them. Technology be damned. On our way towards the wall, more light assault troopers appear from the other side of the wall. I charge and swing at one, knocking his limp body clear off the wall as my squad mates kill the others. I hear a rumble of a diesel engine below, a Sunderer below us, Liberators above us. Things just keep getting better. I inform anyone with explosives and turn all my focus to the sky. 2 Liberators. The 3 max units and I make quick work of one, scaring the other off. I can feel the explosion from the Sunderer behind me. Word quickly travels that we've received reinforcements. The sound of mosquitoes overhead couldn't please me more. I only now sense the size of the battle as I entered upon noticing the husks of 8 Mag Riders. I begin to relax, but then hear, "Enemy light assault!" Damn stragglers. Shots whiz by my head and I turn around. Recollecting one of your many deaths is always interesting. There is no pain, only the sensation of nothingness, silence, peace, darkness, an overwhelming calmness that makes you wish it lasted longer than the 10 seconds it takes the nanites to rebuild your body, a break from the endless chaos on Araxis. You wonder if this is what it will be like after the might of the Terran Republic prevails. Upon regaining vision, the pain sets in. My entire body aches as my brain tries to process having lost every limb from the blast of the C4. At least this time there are no Liberators. That's my story.
Man. Damn.
Your turn next week.
To preface this, I didn't hear this before the show, but I'm actually pretty impressed, dude.
Yeah, it was good.
I guess.
That's R.A. Salvatore crap right there.
Told you, modern day Hemingway.
That's pretty amazing.
Oh my god.
I like the full circle back to darkness. I like that. That's good. I can't wait. I want to hear some feedback, guys. He put in some work on this story. Can we please get some feedback for this story next week? And if this is the kind of story you want to hear, because if nothing else, even if it's not, we're all at least going to give a try at writing a narrative like this for a battle that we get into during the week. And we will adapt this segment, but we will at least all give a shot at it. So please give us some feedback.
I think, what we kind of suspected the requester wanted was us to talk about in-game experiences. And we didn't... I don't want to get trapped into this circle of talking about, like, how awesome I am and doing all this cool stuff, like running up and knifing guys in the back. So I was like, well, let's have a little fun with this and write a narrative. So
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
Well,
now, let's wait to see what we hear from the listeners, and on to the good, the bad, and the OP.
Have another drink on me, soldier.
Okay, thank you kindly.
If you can look hard enough past all the death and all the sorrow, there are good things. You must remember that we will overcome. The good, the bad, and the overpowered.
I'll tell you what's overpowered, Nox's writing skills. All right. Darren, you're kicking us off?
I am number one.
All
All right. My good for this week was the spawn room changes previewed on Friday Night Ops. I think we've geeked out over them enough. My bad is falling through the world hack and how I feel that it's kind of ridiculous that something like that could even happen in a game like this.
Mm-hmm.
Short and sweet.
My good for the week is an AMS Galaxy. And for those of you that weren't in beta, this is not the AMS Galaxy that you knew in beta. This is a Galaxy with a Sunder on top of it deployed. And
I saw that screenshot. How far did it actually make it?
I think we made it up a couple hundred meters before we crashed it, but I think that we crashed it because our squad mate deconstructed his Galaxy underneath the Sunder.
I want to see it go across the continent.
Yeah.
I think it would
Let's
take
do
some
it
time.
after this.
It takes a lot. You have to go up really slow, so it takes some time. It's really time consuming. I think that's why we didn't just fly around with it. But in short, we went to the impact site on Endar and give away our secret. Now, I'm sure somebody else has probably done this, but you go up to the impact site, you take a Galaxy up next to the bridge at the impact site, and you drive a Sunder off the bridge on top of the Galaxy. And you are able to deploy it. So
that's awesome.
It is awesome.
I'm interested to try it almost like a paratrooper thing where you raise up above a base with it and just drop light assaults down on the base.
Sit at max height.
Yeah, sit at max height and just drop light assaults on the base. I think that'd be awesome.
Can you imagine the guy who doesn't know what's going on spawns up there as an infiltrator and is like, what the hell do I do now?
Just falls off. Yeah, but that's my good for the week. My bad for the week is I'm not really happy about the Vanu having a fighting chance now that Tobuscus is gone. So that's my bad for the week.
Jerk. Oh, come on. We all know that both the NC and the Van are going to get rolled by Jimmy.
I am interested to see Jimmy play at his
Jimmy's
full
going to just
capacity.
walk down the battlefield sniping every single person.
Walk down the battlefield. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it, though. All right, Nox, you're next.
You know what? Oh, I just thought. You could get out of the Galaxy, out of the Sunder to spawn, and then hit E on the Galaxy, and then drop.
Yeah, because you won't get hurt
yeah.
as a gal. Yeah.
We're so trying this. All right, my good was this last Saturday, the T-Ray ReachCast meetup. It was a lot of fun. I had a really good time talking with some players, and it was a good day. A lot of other good things happened, outweighing the really bad things. So, my bad, my bad is there's not enough action on Amerish. Like, it drives me bonkers because I love the planet. A lot of the bases are very well designed. They're a lot of fun to try and take over, a lot of fun to try and defend, and there's no one there. And I have a theory. My theory is Zergs just don't like it because it's very hard to roll a swarm of 100 tanks because there's a lot of narrow passageways. There's a lot of winding through the hills. You can't just drive straight over the terrain to the next base. You have to take these. You have to actually look at the map and go, which way is the fastest to get here? Or you play. Well, no one plays on it enough to know the map perfectly. I don't believe there's a single person that's played on that map enough to know it perfectly. So, yeah, it's kind of like it's such a well done map. And Zergs don't play on it, so no one plays on it. And this last week on the server has been like, the Vanu control Indar, yet they're only fighting on Indar. The Terran Republic control Esamir, yet they're only fighting on Esamir. Like, why are we pushing Esamir when we already have it and own half the territory? I don't understand. Whatever. Yeah, that's.
I kind of agree with you though. I was playing NC earlier today, and we were on Amerish. And we took 15 bases in a row, and I saw 3 enemies.
Yeah. Oh.
We've been seeing a lot of Friday Night Ops being fought on Esamir. I think maybe we should make it a point to get on the forums this week and stir up a fight between the 3 factions on Amerish, and really get back to a great continent to fight on, because I totally agree. We see little to no combat on Amerish, at least heavy combat like you see on the other 2.
I think I spent just as much time on Amerish in the beta as I have still to date.
Mm-hmm. I tend to agree, and I think I didn't think about it before you said this, but let's make a point of it. Let's get on the forums this week and stir up a fight.
Let's stir up some trouble.
Stir up some trouble, and let's get Amerish back on the map. Because it is an awesome continent to fight on. You have anything else, Noxx?
No.
Okay. Our last segment for the show, ReachCast Mailbag.
Oh, it's a perfect morning. Great timing, the mailman's just coming.
Morning. Here's the mail. Big bag.
Later. He must be ready to get away. Very strange. What's the sneaking sound? Going to take a look here in this bag of mail. Oh no!
Now you just open the ReachCast mailbag.
Alrighty, we had a good email from a listener this week by the name.
No phone calls?
No calls?
No calls this week. No calls.
All right. All those people that said they were going to call and say they miss Noxx, you are dead to me.
They were going to give me trouble and call me a dirty, traitorous bastard.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do it.
Nothing.
Dead to me.
Lazy.
Well. On to the email we got this week was from Jeremy. I'll leave it at that. Not going to list his last name. He said, I was wondering if anyone had put forward the idea or if the developers are working on a Dune buggy. Basically, would you be able to equip flash weapons? He goes on to explain kind of its capabilities. And yes, the developers, I want to say the last time that we heard about it was SOE Live. And Smedley had spoken about that Doom buggies were coming. And they would kind of fit the criteria that you mentioned, Jeremy. There would be a gunner on back, there'd be a driver, and maybe even a third seat. So, yes, Doom buggies will be in the game. We do not have a firm date yet. That's my comment to your email.
Don't get too excited because it's not going to be... You have to remember, this is far in the future, and humans have consumed all of the petrol, and this is a diesel dune buggy, so it's not going to go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, like some dune buggies that I watched on Top Gear this week.
Well,
all right.
My addition to this is that we know that they're coming because at SOE Live they showed didn't they show a picture of the Thresher, which is the Vanu's buggy?
I do remember seeing a
Granted,
picture.
it floats like the Mag Rider, so it's not a true dune buggy. But I think we know that you can expect to see the Thresher, the Enforcer, which is the NC dune buggy, and the Raider, which is the TR. It's not really a dune buggy, but it's along the same vein. I wouldn't be surprised if we see all three of those in the not-too-distant future. Granted, they haven't said much about them recently.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
I think right now they're more worried about hashing out the problems with the game, and I can't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a vehicle contributes to making the game more fun in its current state.
I don't know. You've never ridden a Thresher. They're awesome.
All right. Let's get some thank yous out of the way for our meetup with T-Ray this week. It was a blast, and I would like to make sure those guys get a shout out.
Yeah, definitely. Saturday, T-Ray ReachCast meetup. We talked to a bunch of the guys. Thank you guys for showing up. We really appreciate it. Had a good time. I'd like to throw out a thanks to a couple of goons from Matherson, NC. They're NC players, Chankersaur and Jonold. Also to a few Azer Twilight players that showed up.
Azure Twilight.
Azure. Oh, well, they just called themselves AT the whole time. They're also on Matherson. They are a Vanu. Scum. Not sovereignty. Talked to Fong, who I believe is the same guy I ran into going to the Blues game later that night, which is kind of funny. And then Fear Parable, as well as Antithesis. And then one other guy, also Vanu Scum, who was outfitness from the Soltech server, and Carfexus is his name. And then Graken from MMORPG.com showed up. So appreciate all you guys showing up. Had a really good time.
Yeah, I think we're going to be playing with Graken this coming Friday for a little bit. And then maybe line up an interview with him possibly in a couple weeks. See what happens.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff on Twitter this weekend while you guys were there. I saw a couple pictures getting posted and stuff like that. So sad that I missed it, but it sounds like you guys had a good time.
I got my NC soccer jersey. And
saw it on your wall.
NC dog tags.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty. Contact info for the show. As I said at the beginning, it's imperialreach.com is the website you can reach us on. It's on the podcast and the banner. iTunes, you can reach us there. Leave us a review. We'd appreciate it. The email is reachcast@imperialreach.com. And the phone number, 636-686-0619. Again, that is 636-686-0619. You can leave us a message anytime, day or night. I will not listen to them until the day before the show.
I thought you were going to say I will not listen to them at all.
Because no one sent in any last week, I will not listen to any left this week.
You can reach us on Twitter. I'm at ReachCast Show, just like it sounds. Noxx?
I am at Noxxia, Noxxia.
And I am at the Deringer.
And Noxx, you want to give them the ReachCast Twitch info?
The Twitch info is your Twitch website address /ReachCast. I have 48 followers, just 2 more to 50.
Oh, man. The Stitcher info, again, just for to understand what Stitcher is, it is a low bandwidth intensive application you can install on an iOS or Android device. I don't think they have it for BlackBerries or Windows phones yet, but I think they're working on it. So
I'll check.
And what's that?
I'll check on my Windows phone right now.
Okay. And as far as I want to give another quick thank you, as always, at the end of the show, to the rest of the ReachCast crew for all your contributions. Steve, Cliff, John, and Drew. Thank you for all your work behind the scenes. And as always, that's it for the show. Have a good week, everyone.
Let's go Blues. Vladimir Tarasenko's a beast.
Welcome aboard Level Cap Gaming.